For more than 2 decades, the Middle East became the center of one of the longest and most complex conflicts in American history. A war fought in deserts, cities, and shadows. A war that changed millions of lives, on both sides. This is the story of America's war in the Middle East, told through facts, history, and the voices of the soldiers who lived it. This is Silent Conflict. The story begins on September 11th, 2001. When America was attacked, the world changed instantly. Within weeks, U.S. forces entered Afghanistan to dismantle Al-Qaeda, the group responsible for the attacks. The goal was clear: hunt down the terrorists who had struck the heart of the nation and remove the regime that sheltered them. The initial phase of the war in Afghanistan, known as Operation Enduring Freedom, saw a rapid takedown of the Taliban government, but it was far from the end of the conflict. The world watched as a new chapter of modern warfare began to unfold in the rugged mountains and vast deserts of a country long known as the graveyard of empires. But Afghanistan was only the beginning. In 2003, the U.S. launched a full-scale invasion of Iraq, a decision that reshaped the entire Middle East. The justification for the war was centered on claims that Saddam Hussein's regime possessed weapons of mass destruction and had ties to terrorist organizations. This move, called Operation Iraqi Freedom, was met with both international support and widespread protest. The decision to invade Iraq marked a significant pivot in the war on terror, expanding its scope and creating a second major front. The world held its breath, unsure of what would come next as American and coalition forces prepared to enter a new, volatile theater of war. The initial invasion of Iraq was astonishingly fast. Baghdad, the capital, fell within weeks. What many thought would be a short, decisive war, however, quickly turned into years of chaos. After the conventional Iraqi army was defeated, the country did not stabilize. Instead, it descended into a complex and brutal insurgency. U.S. forces found themselves fighting an enemy that didn't wear a uniform and melted back into the civilian population. They encountered roadside bombs, sophisticated ambushes, and relentless urban warfare unlike anything they had been trained for. The early confidence of a quick victory gave way to the grim reality of a long, drawn-out counterinsurgency campaign. Every street corner felt like a potential danger zone. Every single step could be your last. The mission shifted from defeating an army to trying to secure a nation that was tearing itself apart. The biggest threat wasn't the enemy you could see. It was the enemy you couldn't. IEDs, or improvised explosive devices, became the deadliest and most feared weapon of the war. These homemade bombs were hidden everywhere, buried in roads, disguised as trash, or even strapped to vehicles. They turned simple supply runs and routine patrols into life-or-death gambles. The psychological toll was immense. Soldiers described moments of pure, suffocating terror, driving down roads knowing that at any second, the ground beneath them could erupt in a fiery explosion. The silence before an explosion, the deafening quiet when you know something is wrong, that's the part that stays with you. This unseen enemy fundamentally changed military tactics, forcing the development of new armored vehicles and detection technologies. But the fear it instilled in every soldier was a constant, haunting presence. The war in the Middle East wasn't only fought between armies. Millions of innocent civilians were trapped in the crossfire, caught between the violence, the fear, and the profound instability that engulfed their homes. Their lives were shattered by airstrikes, firefights, and the constant threat of extremist groups. Cities that had stood for centuries were reduced to rubble. Families were forced to flee, becoming refugees in their own country or seeking safety abroad. Soldiers on the ground often had to make impossible, split-second choices: how to protect themselves while also protecting the civilians they were there to help. The lines between friend and foe were often blurred, leading to tragic mistakes and deep moral conflicts. Trying to win hearts and minds while fighting a war in crowded urban centers was one of the most difficult challenges American forces faced. And when the major combat operations were declared over, the battle didn't end for those who fought. Many soldiers came home with scars that nobody could see. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, became a defining wound of this generation of veterans. They struggled with nightmares, crippling anxiety, depression, and a profound sense of survivor's guilt. The transition from the high-stakes environment of a war zone to the quiet normalcy of civilian life proved to be an incredibly difficult journey for many. The support systems at home were often not enough to handle the scale of the mental health crisis facing returning troops. Meanwhile, back in the Middle East, the impact of the war remains deeply felt today, with destroyed cities, ongoing political instability, and the painful memories of a decades-long conflict that has shaped a generation. America is war in the middle. East will be remembered as one of the most complex and consequential military operations in modern history. It was a conflict defined by sacrifice, evolving strategy, profound tragedy, and incredible resilience. It tested the limits of American military power, challenged its foreign policy, and had a lasting impact on the lives of everyone it touched, both at home and abroad. The legacy of these wars is still being written, debated, and understood, and its effects will continue to influence global politics and the lives of veterans for many years to come. Thank you for watching Silent Conflict. Behind every uniform is a story, and every story deserves to be heard. If this history matters to you, hit like, share this video, and subscribe for more.